Good morning. This is the first edition of Physics AS level, paper 1 to February, March 2021. Let's go. I forgot. This is my tutor. What is a reasonable estimate for the density of sand? So for this type of question, you got to remember the density of water. It's 1 gram per cm cube or 1000 kilogram per meter cube. So this is 200, not possible. 200 times my density of water. This even worse, 2000. So this is less than, this is 20 kilogram. No. So the answer should be D, which is 2000 kilogram, double that of water. Which physical quantity could have units, newtons, second square meter per meter. So Newton is kilogram meters per second square. So you add second square meter -1. This cancels off and you have mass kilogram. The velocity vector is shown. What are the components velocity vector in northerly and the easterly directions? So this would be 75 cos 30. This is 75 sine 30. Okay, good. So sine 30 is half. So it should be 38. Okay, the answer is C. Answer is C. A micrometer screw gauge is used to measure the diameter of copper wire. The reading with the wire in position shown in diagram 1. The wire is removed and the jaws of the micrometer are closed. The new reading is shown in diagram 2. I'm surprised that you have a question on micrometer. Reading a micrometer. So this is a zero error, which is 0.14 millimeter. This reading is 12.59. Minus zero error. Answer is 2.45. Okay. The student measures the current and the potential difference for a resistor in circuit. Current is 50 plus minus 0.01 milliampere. Potential difference is 500 plus minus 0.1 millivolt. The measurement I use to calculate the resistance of the resistor. What is the percentage uncertainty of the calculated resistance? So the resistance is voltage over current. So you add the percentage uncertainty. So it's 0.01 over 50 times 100 plus 0.1 over 500 times 100. Okay. So this is cancel off. So this is 0.02. This is also 0.02. So the answer is 0.04. Okay. Four cars A, B, C, D move from rest in the straight line. The cars take the same time to accelerate to a velocity of 60 kilometers per hour. The velocity time graphs are shown. Which car reaches a velocity of 60 kilometers in the shortest distance? So distance is the area below the graph. So D will have the smallest area. Cannon fires a cannonball with an initial speed V at angle alpha to the horizontal. Which equation is correct for the maximum height reached? So vertically, it is V sine alpha, horizontally V cos alpha. So we are looking at vertical. V square equals U square plus 2AS. So V is 0 at the maximum height. This is V sine alpha square minus 2GH. So H is C. All specs horizontals with momentum P at an angle theta to the surface as shown. The ball rebounds with the same magnitude of momentum at angle theta to the surface. The ball is in contact with the surface for time t. What is the magnitude of the average resultant force acting on the ball during the collision? The resolution of vectors are very important. So this is your final momentum. Here is your initial momentum. Force is change in momentum over time. So we are taking here in this direction. So your force, final momentum, sine theta minus initial momentum is in the opposite direction over time. Okay. So the answer is 2p sine theta over d. Skydiver who is falling vertically through air opens his parachute. Which row describes the velocity of skydiver immediately after he opens his parachute? Okay, so his velocity is still moving the same direction. Velocity is still downwards. The magnitude of the velocity, and he opens his parachute will reduce or decrease. So the answer is A. Stationary firework explodes into 4 fragments, which travel in different directions in horizontal plane. Diagram shows the velocity and mass of each fragment. What is speed v of fragment x? So all of them are perpendicular. So you just consider this direction. Okay. So 15v equals to 10 times 300. So v will be 120 times 10 to 100. So the answer is A. Particle with mass moves in a horizontal straight line through a uniform electric field in the vacuum. The electric field is vertical. There is a significant gravitational effect on the motion of the particle. What could be the direction of the electric field and sign the change, if any, of the particle, sign of the charge, if any, of the particle? So the resultant upwards and downwards is the same. So the electric force will be upwards now. Electric force. Direction of electric field will be direction of force on a positive charge. So if it's a positive, if it's upwards, it must be a positive charge. So there's none. This is wrong. So downwards, it should be negative. This answer is A. 2 parallel forces each of magnitude act on a rod of length 5d. Which diagram shows the position of the 2 forces that will produce the largest torque on the rod? Okay, so the torque will be a couple. A couple is 2 opposite and equal force. That is not coincident in a straight line. So the one that is the furthest away opposite would be the answer. So this is same direction, wrong. So the answer should be this. Okay. A mass of 30 kilograms is suspended from the end of a wire. A horizontal force acts on the mass so that it is in equilibrium with the wire, right, at an angle 30 degrees to the vertical, as shown. Okay. So this is tension, this is weight. I'm gonna draw F W T. This is 30. So you want to find F, you have W. Tangent 30 equals to F over W. F equals to W, tangent 30. So this is 30 times 9.81. times 1/3. So is C. Balance is used to measure the mass M of a number of cylindrical metal rods of length L. All the metal rods have the same radius. The graph shows the variation with L of M. The gradient on the graph is G, which expression gives the density of the metal. So the volume of cylinder is pi r square L. So density is mass over volume. Mass equals to rho pi r square L. So G is equals to rho pi r square. This is the linear law because of G over pi r square. You need to understand a bit about linear law in this question. Very important. Two blocks X and Y on a horizontal frictional surface. The mass of block Y is greater than that of block X. Block Y has a spring attached to its end. The blocks are pushed together so that the spring is compressed between them and the blocks are held stationary as shown. When released, the blocks move in opposite direction. Which statement is correct? After release, the kinetic energy of block X must equal the kinetic energy of block Y. This is not necessary. After release, the sum of the kinetic energies of the blocks is equal to 0. No, they will have some kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is not a vector quantity. Total energy of the spring and blocks immediately before release is 0. This is possible. The total energy of the spring and blocks is equal to the energy needed to bring the blocks together. Bring and blocks immediately before so total energy cannot be 0. C is not possible. So answer is D. This means the energy that needs to bring the blocks together equals to the energy in the spring and the blocks. Okay. Now, gas is contained in a cylinder by a movable piston. The cylinder has a circular cross-section of diameter 20 cm. The mesh pressure of the gas is 102 Pascal and the piston is initially 30 cm from the base of the cylinder. The gas is heated, causing the piston to move up so that it's 35 cm from the base. The pressure of the gas remains constant. How much work does the gas do in moving the piston? So work equals pressure times change in volume. So it's 102 times change in volume is changes by 5 cm. So 0.05 times pi r square. The radius is 0.1. Remember, this must be meters. Okay, this is 0.16. Okay. An egg of mass 25 gram falls vertically downwards from the surface of a table which is 900 millimeter above the ground. Air resistance is negligible. What is kinetic energy of the egg when it hits the ground? So it is gravitational potential energy changes totally to kinetic energy. So you have to count mgh. So 0.025 times 9.81 times 0.9. So it's about 0.22. Estimate. An aircraft travels at a constant velocity 90 meters per second in a horizontal flight. The diagram shows the horizontal force acting on the aircraft. The mass of the aircraft is 2,000 kilograms. What is the power produced by the thrust force? Power is force times velocity. So it's a constant velocity, so the thrust force is the same as the drag. So it's 2,400 times 90. So it's calculating, you get this about 22,000, 220,000, 16,000 to be exact. Huh? Which expression equals to stress on a wire? So Young modulus equals stress over strain. So stress is Young modulus times the strain. There's no answer there. Stress is also same unit as pressure. Force over cross-section area. Okay. Y is stretched by applying increasing values of force F. For each value of force applied, the extension X is recorded. A force extension graph is plotted from the data obtained. Which statement about the area under the graph must be correct? It can be calculated as half Fx. This is possible. It is elastic potential stored in the stretch sample. This is possible. Is the work done in stretching the sample? This is possible. It will be the same as any wire. It will be the same for any wire or the same material. So this is also possible. So we are looking at answer that is more suitable. So you're going to eliminate one by one. So it never say that it is directly proportional. So this is not possible. So it never say that it's returned back to the force are released. Some of the energy is stored inside the spring. So this is not exactly correct. So always is the work done, stretching the sample. So this one is not possible also because you can have different diameter and different lengths. Okay. Progressive radio wave in vacuum is 75 megahertz. What is the phase difference between 2 points in the wave that are 50 cm apart from each other? So we're going to calculate the wavelength. Lambda equals to C over F. Of 8. 75 of 6. This will be 4 meters. So the phase difference of 50 over the wavelength times by 360. This will give you an answer of 45. Which statement is correct for longitudinal waves but not correct for transversal wave? Correct for longitudinal wave. They can form stationary waves. Both can form. So this is not, they cannot travel through a medium. Transversal wave cannot. They can transfer energy in the direction, both transfer energy in the direction of travel. They consist of peaks and troughs. So these are graphical representation of wave, peaks and troughs. So it's not true for both. So the answer should be D. Loudspeaker emitting sound wave of a single frequency is placed at a distance L from a reflecting surface as shown. Stationary wave formed with an antinode at the loudspeaker. Microphone is moved from loudspeaker to the reflector. Before the microphone reaches the reflector, it takes 4 points where the sound intensity is a minimum. What is the wavelength of the sound wave? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So we're going to calculate how many waves. So this will be one wave here, 1, 2 and a quarter. So the wavelength will be L over 9 over 4. So it is 4 L 9. So answer is C. Okay. The source of sound frequency F at point Z is moving at a steady speed. So Z is a moving source. The pattern of the emitted wavefront is shown. Which row describes the frequency of the sound heard by stationary observer X and Y? Basically, you must remember this. So if X is compressed, shorter wavelength, so Z is moving towards X. So if moving towards X, the frequency, observed frequency is higher, y will be lower. Answer is C. What is not possible value for the wavelength of the named electromagnetic wave when it is traveling in a vacuum? So here you must have an estimate of wavelength of light of 4 to 7, 4 to 7 times 10 to the power of -7. So A is possible, B is possible, infrared is possible, microwave should have a longer wavelength. Waves P and Q meet at point X and superpose. Initially, the two waves meet at X in phase, zero phase difference lah, so that the resultant wave has an amplitude of 14 cm. At that point, the phase difference between the two waves is then changed so that they meet at X with a phase difference of 180 degrees. The resultant wave now has an amplitude of 4 cm. What is the amplitude of one of the wave at point X? One of the wave. So the amplitude, let's say is X and Y, or A and B. A plus B equals 14. This is constructive interference. A minus B would be 4. So you add together, you get A equals to 9. B would be 5. So the answer is B. Water wave is diffracted as it passes through a gap between two barriers in a ripple tank. The wave is observed to spread out as it moves through the gap. Which two factors both affect the amount of diffraction observed? So diffraction is always wavelength. So these two will not be there. Okay. So it's always wavelength and the gap. So it should be D. Two sources of microwaves P and Q produce coherent waves with phase difference of 180 degrees. The waves have the same wavelength lambda. At the point S, there is a minimum in the interference pattern produced by waves from the two sources. The distance QS minus PS called the path difference. Which expression could represent the path difference? So if they are in phase, if it's minimum, the path difference is multiples of half wavelength. So that if the phase difference is 180 degrees, then to be a minimum, the path difference must be multiples of lambda. Okay. Beam of red laser light of wavelength 633 nanometers is incident normally on a diffraction grating with 600 lines per millimeter. The beam of red light is now replaced by a beam of blue laser light of wavelength 445 nanometers. The replacement in diffraction grating is used so that the first order maximum blue light appears at the same position on the screen as first order maximum of the red light of the original laser. How many lines per millimeter diffraction? So this first order d sine theta equals to this d, d sine theta equals to first order is n lambda, n is 1. So sine theta equals to lambda over d. D is the width. Width is equals to 1 over number of lines. So this will be n lambda. So 600 times 633, because the angle is the same, is 445 n times 445. 600 times 633. 600 times 633 divided by 445. It's about 850. Okay. Which diagram best represents the field lines in an electric field produced by a combination of 1 point positive charge and 1 point negative charge? So electric fields are forced on a positive charge. This is very elementary. Like 3 marks in here. The diagram shows a thundercloud whose base is 500 meters above the ground. The potential difference between the base of the cloud and the ground is 200 megavolt. A raindrop with a charge of 4 times 10 negative 12 coulombs in the region between the cloud and the ground. What is the force, electric force on the raindrop? So force is electric field strength times charge. Electric field strength is V over D times Q. So this is 200 times 10 power 6 over the distance is 500 times the charge, 4 times 10 negative 12. Okay. (1.6 times 10 negative 6). Okay. Answer is A. The current I in a metal wire is given by the equation I equals to A N V Q. What does the symbol N represent? This one you have to remember. Number of charge carriers in the wire, number of charge carriers per unit cross-sectional area of the wire, per unit length of the wire, number of charge, so it should be per unit volume. Okay. 33. Oops, sorry. Cell of negligible internal resistance is connected to resistors R1, R2, and R3 as shown. The shell provides power to the circuit and power is dissipated in the resistors. Which word equation must be correct? Okay. Power dissipated in R1 equals power dissipated in R2 plus power dissipated in R3. So, okay, this is by elimination. I'm going to tell you it's doing objective paper is not only knowing the correct answer, it's knowing the wrong answer also. So R1 and R2 and R3 are different resistance. Okay, so power dissipated is I square R. So this is not possible. It's also not possible. Cell equals power in R1 plus power in R2 plus power. This is okay. Power per cell, power dissipated in R1. No. So C is quite trivial. Okay. A fixed resistor and a diode are connected in series to a battery and of electromotive force EMF 6 volts and negligible internal resistance. The graph shows the variation with potential difference V of the current I for the diode. The current in the diode is 40 milliampere. What is the resistance of the fixed resistor? So 40 milliampere for the diode, it is 1.2, 1.2 volt. R equals to P over I. So no, not to find I. You have to find I. I is 40 milliampere. Oh, it's 1.2 volt, so no need to count. It's 1.2 volt. So they will is this potential divider, this 4.8 volt. So the V equals to the current is 40 milliampere, so 0.04 times 4. Oh, resistance V over resistance, sorry. So resistance equals to 4.8 over 0.04. There's always a check and balance. Answer is 120. No electrical cable consists of an electric cable consists of 7 strands of copper wire, each of diameter 0.3 millimeter, connected in parallel. The resistivity of copper is 1.72 times 10 negative 6 ohm per meter. The current in the cable is 13. The current in the cable is 13 ampere. What is the potential difference between 2 points on the cable, a distance of 2 points on the cable? So you need to find resistance. 1 meter. So the resistance, oops, R equals to rho L over A. So rho is your resistivity. This is the find 1 over pi times R square. So 0.15 times 10 negative 3 square. Negative 8 times 1. So each string will have a resistance of 0.24333 ohm. So the total resistance is 1 over R equals to 7 times 1 over 24333, because there are 7 strands. Long. And for answer 7. The right answer. So the resistance is 0.03476. 13 V equals to IR times 13. equals to IR 0.45. Okay, it's a very long calculation. A cell that has internal resistance is connected to a switch S and a variable resistor. A voltmeter is connected between the terminals of the cell as shown. When the switch is open, the voltmeter reads 1.5 volt. The switch is then closed and the variable resistance adjusted to have a resistance of 4 ohm. The voltmeter now reads 0.75 volt. What is the internal resistance of the cell? So if it's open, 1.5 volts give the EMF. E equals R plus R. 1.5 equals to, there's no I. We're going to find the I. I times 4. I equals to divided by 4. 3/16. So this 3/16, 4 plus R. So finding the answer. 1.5 times 16 divide 3 minus 4. Which gives you 4 ohms. Okay. Nearly there. Cell of electromotive force E and negligible internal resistance connected into a circuit as shown. The voltmeter is a very high resistance and reads a potential difference of V out. What is the ratio V out over E? Negligible internal resistance. So if you want to use Kirchhoff's law, also can, using this. So E, no need lah. This will be E lah. Between here and here is E lah. Okay, so just by explanation will do lah, because you're gonna waste a lot of time calculating. So it's potential divider lah. So V is 4/6 lah. 4/6 lah. 6 total lah, times E lah. So V over E. Battery is connected to a potentiometer. Potentiometer consists of a uniform resistance wire and a sliding contact P. Potential difference V between the sliding contact P and NQ of the wire is measured using a voltmeter. The sliding contact P is moved from NQ to NR of the wires. Sliding contact P is distance D from Q, sorry. This graph shows the variation with distance D of the potential difference of V. Resistance wire. So the resistance wire will have a linear change in resistance. So linear change, so will be a linear change in the potential difference also. Question answer is A. Okay. The figure shows part of a chart of nuclides where neutron number is plotted against proton number. The unstable nuclide X decays by emitting alpha particle. Which nuclide is formed by the decay of nuclide X? So it decrease 2 neutron and decrease 2 proton. So it's B. Elementary. Some questions are easy, some questions are difficult. Which nuclei of common isotopes of hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium are shown? Which nucleus contains equal numbers of up and down quarks? Equal numbers of up, down. So proton is up, up, down. Neutron is down, down, up. So they must have the same number of proton and neutrons lah. So it's helium. Okay. That's it. All the answers given to you. Now, if you like my explanation today, you can always subscribe to my channel, so that you can have updates of future videos that I'll be making. Okay, bye for now. This is my tutor signing off.